jabbing it in the eye. The penanggal howled in pain, thrashing in the air before she hit the window pane and went silent. This creepy tale is brought to you by the Susbox. Do drop us a like and share this video with your friends if you'd like to share a nightmare with them. Now, our story begins. One hand braced on her swollen stomach and the other on her back, Farah gazed around at the expanse of rural landscape she could see. The blades of grass rising to the waists of the village women plucking at strands of wheat that riddled the patches of green, indifferent or all too accustomed to the heat of the sun beating down on them. Amongst such women was someone who shared Farah's tan skin tone and dimples, said dimples visible, and eyebrows furrowing in concern when the woman raised her head to see Farah leaning against the porch. "Farah, what are you doing outside?" her mother scolded, wading through the grass, her jade bracelet clinging against her waist as she hurried over to her daughter and helped prop her onto a rocking chair. "Everything is fine, Mama," Farah replied, exasperation clear in her tone. "It's been 2 weeks since I've been here, but you've never really let me do anything other than relax." "You came here to relax." "I came here to spend the last months with my mother," she pointed out, rightfully so. Farah had used the last few months of the maternity leave she had to travel to her hometown, Sabah, to be able to stay with her mother, a renowned midwife who had decided to stay in Malaysia rather than move to America with her daughter and son-in-law. Already, her mother had helped reduce the strain on her back by propping her up in a rocking chair she moved periodically to give Farah less pain in her feet, fed her plenty of nutritional food to keep Farah's nausea away, and did several things that proved to Farah that her mother's history as a midwife, who was well revered, was true in every kind of way. It did not explain certain things her mother did, like placing plants with sharp-edged leaves around Farah's childhood bedroom, bolting the windows so that they couldn't be opened except in the morning, putting the heaviest curtains on the windows so that nobody could see in, feeding her food so spicy it made her eyes water. Even the villagers, who had known Farah for her entire life, had mimicked the behavior, offering her canisters of water flavored with something sweet for protection, keeping a close eye on her whenever she wandered the village, smiles sweet, but eyes warily looking around whenever they fell step in with her. It was the kind of worry, Farah thought to herself, a pregnant woman really didn't need. But she kept her lips tightly sealed, the way her mother's were whenever she tried to innocently question the thinking behind such actions. Tribal Sabahan people were superstitious. That she knew from sitting beside her mother in her youth as they prayed for a successful year, the smell of incense burning around them. Farah had learned patience over the years, but after another night of watching her mother sneak into her room to check the locks over her windows, she had had enough. Sitting up with a jerk, she frowned at her mother and yelled, "Mama, what are you doing?" Her mother was jolted by her comment, half jumping in the air and spinning around to glower at her daughter, the red light of the heater reflected in her eyes. "Silly child, what do you think you're doing scaring me like that?" "What's going on, Mama?" Farah repeated, crossing her arms over her chest. "Tell me, honestly." Her mother looked like she was struggling, lips in a thin line before she sighed and sat down on Farah's bed. "I'm trying to keep you safe, my daughter, from the penanggal." "The penanggal?" she echoed, a shake going through her body at how her mother began trembling, voice quiet and hushed like she was afraid of being heard. "The penanggal are what the West would almost compare to vampires, except they are only female and can disguise themselves as normal humans in the daytime. It is in the night that they become their true, hideous forms, their heads detaching from their bodies, searching through villages like ours for people to feast on. Their favorite and usual selections are pregnant women or women who have just given birth. Sometimes they even masquerade as midwives, for they too need money to be able to live as humans." "Pregnant women?" Farah's hand flew to her stomach, her eyes widening in fear. "Mama." "We will keep you safe," her mother vowed, hands encasing hers in a tight grip. Now that Farah knew the extent of the horrifying creature that everyone was worried about, she couldn't help but feel that same anxiety. Malaysians were superstitious because the monsters they grew up hearing about posed grave dangers against their lives. And this one was posing a threat not just against Farah, but also her unborn child. Her mother and the villages surely did their best to protect her from the new threat that haunted their lives. They did their best, but weeks of being strictly alert failed to help them the day Farah finally gave birth. Her daughter was beautiful, swaddled in blankets with downy pink cheeks, and eyes shut from finally tiring of greeting the world with screams. Farah was exhausted, her chest rising and falling from the labor, her ears filled with the distant sound of a rooster crowing before its voice was abruptly cut. Her arms tightened around her child as a foul scent filled the air, smelling of something stale and rancid, almost like the liquid penanggals would stew their bodies in to make their returns easy. Her blood froze. Vinegar. Farah looked around frantically, but there was no one there. The midwives having vanished to do their rounds, her mother having taken the short time to wash her face clear of sleep. A whimper left her lips when the open window of the bedroom was suddenly filled with something horrible. The head of the woman must have once been beautiful, the shape of the blood-red lips curving in an almost gentle smile, the dark hair fanning across the face thick and luscious. Yet that beauty was damning, gruesome in the way corpses were, juxtaposed by entrails hanging down loose from where the neck should have stood, and the infernal rot of vinegar. The penanggal purred and floated in delight as she crept closer, unfettered by Farah's hateful glare. Farah's heart beat like a drum, her fingers roaming across her bed for something to use as a weapon, latching onto something. She waved the device in front of the penanggal, relieved when the monster's response was to hiss gutturally, a tinge of fear in its throaty noise. In Farah's hands were the nut cutters she had been using to shuck nuts for her mother earlier, and with one arm wrapped around her child, Farah moved up to it, jabbing it in the eye. The penanggal howled in pain, thrashing in the air before she hit the window pane and went silent, blood-red eyes widening before she began to fall. "Farah?" Her mother appeared at the door, mouth open to ask questions, and was instead given Farah's daughter to hold. Farah grabbing onto the ends of her maternity gown and starting to hurriedly move outside. Her mother told her that the penanggal would return to a body, one she would keep close around, and there were only certain places around the small building they called the hospital to hide such a thing. She followed the scent of vinegar, gagging when she came upon a wrinkled body in a vat of vinegar hidden behind a dumpster. The skin of the body was mottled and gray, with water patches against the skin. When Farah pushed past her disgust to grab the body and begin dragging it behind her, her own figure aching with the pain of labor, but adrenaline desiring to make her complete the job. The penanggal's head was lying on the ground outside the hospital, tongue lolling out of its mouth and weak noises leaving its lips. Farah grabbed the shovel she had found outside the farmhand's house nearby and raised it above her head, slamming down on the penanggal's head once, then twice. Once it stopped writhing, Farah shoved the shovel into the ground, unpacking dirt with grim determination. The penanggal would never hurt anyone else now, not when Farah's hands would be stained with her blood, and the effort it took to bury the creature where she would never be able to breathe again. Thank you for watching till the end. If you've enjoyed it, remember to drop us a like. If you like more creepy tales like these, be sure to subscribe.
Whoa!
Also, feel free to leave a comment below and let us know what you think of this story. Until next time.